This video brought to you by the Just Saiyan Podcast. Check us out on podbean.com and iTunes. Link in the description below. Hey, what's up, everybody? It is Mark with DBS Decks, and right up there's your boy, Jordan Markle. He's champ. He won Philly this weekend with this monstrosity Towa. It was awesome. Dude, way to represent us for real. It was awesome to see you just get back into the swing of things, because I know you've been kind of trying to find your hold in the meta right now, and I think this is it. So why Towa?
So about 2 weeks ago, my friends decided they want to go to the Philly Pro Play Tour. I was maybe gonna go by myself, but I wasn't sure. And when they decided they wanted to go, I'm like, all right, well, I gotta find a deck. So I was looking at some deck lists, and nothing really stuck out to me. I was playing Shinjita before the new stuff came out. I didn't really like that as much. I don't really like playing that deck too much. I know it's pretty good, but it just wasn't my thing. So the next deck I went to was Demigra, and I found out that deck was I don't know, it just wasn't good enough. It had a lot of bad matchups, and it just didn't work the way I wanted it to. So then I transitioned to Towa, which was kind of similar, but at the same time, it's not. It runs a completely different engine, but it's still all black cards. And so I went to Towa and I play tested it, and I really liked it. There's a lot of play lines with it, and that's kind of how I came to the decision. I tested for about a week and a half with it, and I felt pretty comfortable going into the tournament.
All right, well, let's go ahead. Let's start off talking about that Towa leader, and let's just run everybody through it. It's all you, man.
Yeah, for sure. So if you don't know what the Towa leader does, on the front side has an activate main where you burst 3 once per turn. You look at the top 5 and grab a Mira or a Fu. So this is your draw engine essentially. And grabbing Miras, there's so many Miras in the deck, and there's a couple Fus, but you rarely ever miss. I missed a couple times the whole tournament. So you're usually gonna hit, and Miras are your key cards. So you want to find them, and it's probably better than drawing one card, because just being able to choose which Mira you want, because sometimes you have options, is really good. And then Awaken is when you have 10 or more black cards in the warp. So as soon as I have 10 cards in the warp, my whole deck's black, I can Awaken. Generally, I would save my Awaken for turn 4, just because it's the best on turn 4, because you can play your turn 4 Mira, and then Awaken, and then you have an energy up for defense. You go to the backside, has an activate main once per turn. You take 3 cards from your warp, put them in your drop. So this allows you to overwhelm again. After you Awaken, it gives you 3 cards, which really helps. But it also gives one of your Miras critical, which is huge. That's the whole combo. You bring out your big Mira, make them warp 3. You give your dude critical, and if they don't have a negate, you're critting 2 life. There's no way they can stop it. It's too big. And then the other activate battle is once per turn. Pay 1 energy. Choose this keyword skill. You have to discard a card. Then you choose a keyword skill on an opponent's battle card, and you negate it. So this is really good against decks like Shinjita, where they're trying to give triple attack or critical, or you can remove triple strike. You can remove a lot of things, but you can remove blocker. There's so many things you can remove. So it's very versatile. But that's pretty much the Towa leader. And I'm going to get into the deck here. So first off, I ran 3 Kid Q. And the reason why I ran 3 Kid Q was its effect is search for a 4-star ball. So it just gave me advantage. If I played on turn 1 and they don't deal with it, every turn I'm going to get a 4-star ball, whether I pick it up from the drop after comboing with it, or just searching my deck. The pay 2 energy for vanilla didn't come up too much, because I didn't really need to use that. I just played it for the card advantage, and also it shuffles your deck. So when you have Vegeta out, putting cards on the bottom, you can shuffle your deck. Even if you don't search for a ball, you still shuffle your deck. So that was really good. I really like that. It was a really good draw engine post Awaken too. You get cards every turn, extra cards, because you're Towa leader on the backside doesn't draw. I played 2 Supreme Kai. The counterplay, your opponent can't swing with 2 drops for that turn, and neither can you on your next turn, which is fine. It was just to defend. It was for U6. I didn't play any, but it is a really good card. And when you play it, it draws a card. So even if I just played on the offense just to draw a card, it's just, solid 5k draw. Next is the 2-drop vanilla trunks that we just got from the new set. It's just a 20k. Has no combo power, so that's kind of weak. So it was energy a lot of the time if I drew it. But otherwise, it was mainly just to stay in the deck for a card I'll get to soon here. But not much else to talk about those. It's just another 20k. Then we're going to move on to Vegeta Time Regulator. This card's a key card in the deck. It's usually your turn 2 play. Its effect is when you overwhelm, you can put 2 7 cost or less battle cards on the bottom of your deck, and you draw a card. So this is a good draw engine for the deck. That way on your Awakened side, you're drawing cards, as well as your front side, you're drawing additional cards. And you overwhelm every turn, so you're generally always going to get this off. And it also puts like mirrors back into your deck if you mill them. The 7-drop one, or the 5-drop one, you want to get that one to play. You can play it on 4, but just it keeps filtering your deck and making sure all the right cards in your deck, all the right cards, are in your warp, etc. And draws cards. So I mean, you really can't go wrong. This is one of the barrier entries to the deck because the card's so expensive, but it's expensive for a reason. It's just really good. So moving on, I have 2 Dark Absorption Amira, and I just ran 2 of this because this is not the normal way to get out your Mira. Has an effect where you have to overwhelm 3, and then it has an effect where you pay 4 energy to Union Absorb, and you grab a Towa from your warp, put it under, and you grab a mirror from your warp or your hand and play it. Now, the reason why this isn't the main way to get it out is because it wastes your overwhelm for the turn. So it's just not ideal, but it is good in some situations where you're just trying to finish off, your opponent. So that's why I decided to run 2. But 2 is the perfect number. All right, so move on to Dimension Support Trunks here. Dimension Support Trunks is for the vanilla trunks that I was talking about earlier. They combo well. So you play Trunks, it obviously searches the deck for the 20k vanilla and gives it critical. That was really the only way I used the 20k vanilla, just because I wanted to just do critical damage, a free critical damage. Generally, this was a turn 1 play going second if I didn't have Kid Q, because you just bring it out, swing 20k crit. You just start applying pressure. So it was really good. It was a good package. I liked it. But not too much else to say. It's cost 1, overwhelm 3. Most people probably know what it does, but just a 15k. Just a solid overwhelm. Moving on, we have Relentless Destruction Mirror. Now this is the 3-cost overwhelm that just makes your opponent discard a card. This is the one I played the most, just because it's a hand destruction deck. You're trying to rip cards out of their hand. So you want to try and do this and one of the big mirrors pretty much every turn past turn 4, and usually before that too. It's just your best overwhelm just to rip cards from their hand. So yeah, this card's amazing. And if you need to, the backside of Towa can give it crit, so you can also apply crit pressure. The next card is Trunks Time Disruptor. Now, I played 2 of this card. This card was really good. My buddy Russell Stelzer, who was staying with us, he suggested it because it was really good. And I was playing 4 in my Demigra deck, just because if you get it turn 1, it does set up your super combos and makes them live turn 1. Because what it does is overwhelm 3, draw 2, warp 1. So at the end of your turn, the Trunks will warp, and you'll have 5 in the warp. So you'll be able to play your super combo. And also just good. It just digs through your deck. It's just solid. And I needed a couple more overwhelm threats for the deck, just to consistently get that overwhelm every turn. So next we got some Towas. I got 3 Time Ruler Towa. Overwhelm 4. Steal an opponent's battle card of 2 or less. It came up sometimes. It's pretty good in the mirror. You can still their time regulators. It was good against Kid Q. I played a Kid Q. It was good. I stole their Kid Q and then searched for a ball immediately, and he was kind of confused, but because I play him in my deck, it was just, it's good in that matchup as well. So that's pretty cool. But it's also in there just for the Mira combo, because you need them to put under your Mira for the Union Absorb. So that's why I ran 3 of that one. And then I ran 3 of the, if I'm saying this correctly, Umbral Invitation Towa. It's Dark Overwhelm 1. I think it's Dark Overwhelm 4, and then it costs 1 energy. So this one can steal 3 or less. So it's pretty much the same thing. It's still 3 or less, but it's a 15k instead of a 10k. This one was okay. I didn't play it as much as the other one just because it costs 1, so it kind of doesn't work with the way the deck runs. You don't really have extra energy to spare a lot of the times, so it wasn't as good. But it's another Towa to put under for your Union Absorb. You have to have in the Warp for Mira, so solid pick. You gotta split it up some way, and I just went 3-3. Felt like the best split there. So next off, I got 2 Dimensional Banisher Fu. I thought this was the perfect number. It's a 1 cost, overrun 5, double strike, and you just remove a battle card, banish a battle card on their side. So it's just removal, spot removal for 1 energy, and as double strike. Your leader can grab it off the top 5 on the front side. No real reason not to play it. Just a solid card. Moving on, I played 2 Mass Saiyan the Mysterious Warrior. I teched this in. It is a 110k, which is kind of weird sometimes for combo power, but it wasn't too bad. But it's a overrun 5, cost 1. Double strike, and when you play it, you can remove up to 5 costs worth of guys, battle cards. And so I played it for the U6 matchup where they play a bunch of 2-drops and 1-drops, so you can kind of remove them. And then also against Towa, if they get a little greedy, I think one of my opponents had 2 time regulators and a 1-drop, and I warped them, and it kind of set them back really far because it's just a huge tempo swing. So that was really good. But no, it was a solid pick. I'm glad I ran 2 of it, which some lists I saw were not running it at all. So going to move on to Mira Self Reformation. This is one of the key cards in the deck. It's a 20k double striker. It costs 5, but if you have 10 in the warp, it costs 4. So generally, it always costs 4. I believe it said as double strike. It has deflect as well, so they can't really play their denial of hope on it. So that's good. And some other counterplay cards. But then it has a Union Fusion where Union Absorb, where you put a toe under from your warp, and you grab a Mira of 7 calls from your deck. So you get out the big Mira and make them warp 3 cards. It's just a huge tempo swing because you can swing 20k double strike with this, maybe even give it crit, push some crit damage, bring out the other Mira, and then maybe kill them. They're 4 life, did that plenty of times. So yeah, it's just a lot of pressure. Just a really good card. And we're going to get to the big Mira, the main point of the deck here. So Mira is a Overrealm. You can Overrealm it for 4, cost 1. It'll just be a big single strike. But generally in this deck, you go for the auto off Union, which makes them warp 3 cards, and it gets double strike. Your leader can give it then critical, and then if you swing with it, you're usually dealing 2 crit damage because they either have to negate, rip another card from their hand, or you're dealing 2 crit. And a lot of times I keep my opponent at high life totals, so they wouldn't really want to waste a negate on it. So you're just critting 2 life. You're just critting all their life. You're not letting them get any cards. You make them draw cards. That's the only way they get them. And he's huge. He gets 5k plus for each card in your warp whenever he swings. So they're either negating or he's taking damage. There's no comboing. Nobody even tried to combo. And he also has deflect, in case they have anything that would tap him. But that's the key point of the deck. That card's just so good. So nutty. Next card is our super combo. It's one of the older ones. It when you have 5 cards in your warp, it gains 10k power, so it's just 10k for free, and you draw a card. normal super combo, but it's usually live turn 2 at the latest. Turn 1 if you get a Trunks, but it's a really good super combo. I've always liked this one. I've messed around with it, in other decks too. It's really good. On to the next card. I ran 2 Power Burst. I saw people running like 3, 4 copies of this card, and not to say that's wrong, but I never found myself in a position where I needed more than just one of these to maybe survive an additional turn to win. And a lot of times I didn't even need one. Maybe it was the way I was playing the deck. I was just putting myself in good positions, like playing like super defensive, where I never really needed the Power Burst. But in a lot of situations, if you run like 4, it's a dead card because you don't really have energy to pay for it. You either take a life, and it just didn't seem that worth it to me. So 2 ended up being the correct number. Never really needed more, and it worked out. You can Sparking 5 it if you want to, but it just grabs a 1-drop back from the drop. Most people know what it does, but just 2 negates in the deck. Didn't really need any more. And then the final card in the main deck was 3 4-star ball to go along with our Kid Coup. And it was just a draw engine like I was talking about. It gives 5k. If you bring out the vanilla Trunks, you can make it pretty big if you have multiple of these, but it didn't come up too much. I think I made a vanilla Trunks 40k with 2 of these one time to push a damage, which was kind of clutch, but it didn't happen too often. It was more just like a draw engine. But that's about it for the main deck. And I'll go into the side deck. The side deck was kind of rushed. I had the main deck down. I didn't have the sideboard down. And this is just what I came up with. It was okay. I didn't really use it too much. A couple of these cards I never sided in, but I just had them just in case of certain matchups. 3 Dark Power Black Massin. I played that if people were like stalling me, wouldn't let me awaken, or against like Chain Zeno decks. So I sided these in a couple times. Never really did much with them. Excuse me. They can apply pressure, but they were just okay. They were all right, at least for the matchups that I played. 2 Dende new to the job. Sided this in a couple times against Ramp. I was played against a couple Gogeta Shenrons, just Shenron decks that were ramping, and so it put in some work. It was solid. Definitely sided it in. 2 Kami Global Unifier. Sided this in a couple times. Never really used its effect, but just to have it, just in case they would get overextend board. You can pay 2 to pop the board. 4 less. They have 4 guys on board, but it never really came up. But I had it in there just in case. Sided in a couple times. And the rest of these cards, no escapes on Goku. I didn't side that in because I didn't play the matchup that I needed for it. It doesn't allow them to bounce cards back to their hand if they're playing like the Gogeta stuff or the Veku stuff. If they play their battle cards, doesn't let them bounce them back. So never sided that in. I did side 2 Power Bursts in against the Gogeta Shenrons just in case, just give me more consistency at CM1 because I just needed 1 usually. But I wanted to make sure I saw 1, when they were going for their kill turn or something along that lines. So I just have a negate, to be a little bit extra safe. So I did side those in a couple times, but they weren't really necessary. Ended up charging them a lot. And then I didn't side in Toki Toki. It was like a Toki Toki engine I had in the sideboard with the Dendes, the Kamis, the no escapes. It's just something I put in there that probably I didn't need to, but with limited testing time, that's what I ended up running. And then finally, Trunks, Power of Seeing Time. I sided this in if I played Janemba, which I didn't, just to get back a Vegeta Time Regulator, because that's like the most important card. So if they would kill mine, or if I would mill mine, I'd be able to pick it up. Just give me like 2 extra copies, kind of. It would be a little slow, but to me, it was like the best card I could really side in against them, because my matchup's pretty favored if I see a Vegeta. And even if I don't, as long as I just play the hand destruction game, usually I can beat them. So it was just 2 cards for Janemba. And that was pretty much the whole deck. The sideboard could have been a little better, but overall the deck played amazing. I didn't drop a single match. 403 in Swiss, and won out on Top Cut.
Yeah, it was pretty sharp. Like, I really liked the deck after looking at it. Like, I was a little confused at first seeing, like, the Kiku and stuff, but then after
Yeah.
hearing you explain it in the podcast yesterday and then
Mhm.
just kind of going over it left and right and kind of going through it here, it makes a lot of sense. But definitely the Trunks time regulator, I think that card is, like, super underrated. Like,
Yeah, for
that's
sure.
one of, like, the best overall cards for this deck. The fact that, like you said, it can make the super combo live on turn one is sick. And
Yeah,
I don't,
and that's so huge. Sometimes in some matchups.
oh yeah, I even like too that you can even do the dimension support Trunks with the uh, Super Saiyan Trunks now as well, and just push for that early crit damage even if you want to. If you're like, I don't
Yep.
really have options, it's easy just to mill 3 off the toe and then swing for the 20k.
Yeah,
Like
and going second, it's perfect.
oh, it's amazing, it's so good.
Perfect. It's like it fits right in there. And if you don't have a kid queue, which I personally just like kid queue early, unless it's a matchup I really need to pressure. Because a lot of times I don't want to pressure them. But when you have the trunks, it's like it doesn't really matter if you're swinging with the trunks because you're getting out the 20k crit. You can crit them, and then you have a 20k on board that you can like use to clear their board, or you can just sit there. It just,
Yeah.
I mean, it just can apply pressure if need be.
So good. All
Very
right,
good.
man. That's it. So yeah, once again, congrats. Great job. I'm sure we'll see a lot more of you in the upcoming regional season because everybody's got to travel, and
Yep.
I know a couple of us are already planning on going to San Diego, and I know you guys are probably thinking of hitting up Orlando. So we'll see how that works. But
Yeah.
otherwise, thanks for stopping by. We'll see you on the flip side, everybody. Peace out, guys.
See ya. Peace.